Hello, everybody! If it's Wednesday, it's Warhammer, and that must mean it's time for another very early afternoon edition of Warhammer Weekly, at least for me. I don't know what time it is where you are in the world, but hey, joining me as always is my co-host Tom. What's up, brother? How you going, man?
Hello, friends.
This is an exciting day, Tom.
Yeah. Sorry.
You're okay. I assume you had the show on, so it just took a second there. It's all good.
Yeah.
This is an exciting day. It's been a
Yeah,
journey this week, Tom. It's been a journey.
it has for me particularly.
Sure.
Um, like I like being right.
Sure. Why not? We are going to talk about, obviously, the main topic today is going to be about the upcoming preview, what we've already
Yep.
seen, what we think is coming. I mean, there's just nothing else to talk about. Like, also, this show will be slightly shorter today. I want to warn you right up front. We're doing this early show because I'm about to leave, so I'm picking up and leaving with my wife right after this. So Tom is being very nice and doing an early show. So thank you to Tom and Tom's wife for being accepting of this different schedule.
I'm skipping a parent teacher meeting for my daughter right now. So my wife is shouldering that in order for me to be here.
Tell her I appreciate that very much.
I
Uh,
definitely will.
Besides, you got good kids. I'm sure they're just like, yeah, everything's fine. So, I mean, yeah, the one thing I'll say for you, you've done a good job with your kids. So,
I appreciate
yeah, that's just there's a moment of true authenticity for you there. I really do think Tom's a good dad. Bad Warhammer player, but a good dad. Anyways, so all right, obviously let's go through the journey of this week. Let's just start with something simple. Let's start with the rumor engine, shall we? Let's do the news. We're gonna still do the normal segments. So you want to start with the rumor engine?
it. It's death.
It's more death. Yeah, I agree.
I mean, maybe. So here's the thing that actually intrigues me the most,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Out of Dream Engine, is the stuff hanging down from the terrain piece
Which looks like goopy goop. Yes.
or icicles.
I guess maybe that's icicles. It's got a lot of like dark color in it. What I mean by that is like this is a painted model, right? So
Yeah.
we can I can't see color because it's in black and white because ha ha ha, but I can see value, right? And this stone is clearly very light. You can see the white highlights of reflections here on the nails. This is darker than this, right? And if it was
Yeah.
ice, they'd paint it very white or light blue, something that in the value scale would look very, very white gray,
Yes.
right? So I think it's goop or blood.
Okay.
That's my
Yeah, I
thought.
don't know. I mean, like, my best guess is it's blood,
All right.
but I just don't know. Like, that's what struck me about this more than anything else is whatever that's supposed to be. Seaweed. Yeah, there you go.
Sure.
Uh,
It does kind of have a bit of that look, but it could be. But ultimately, let me argue this.
yeah.
I think this is new death.
Yep.
We've said all the death we've seen so far looks very like oh, I don't know,
Gothic core.
classic horror. Yeah, gothic fantasy. Yes, there you go. Right. And I've
Yep.
said for weeks now that I think we're going to get some kind of other thing going on there.
Yes.
Werewolves, flesh golems, I don't know,
Yep.
mummies, whatever, something
This,
weird. They're going to left
this,
turn us
could be-
somewhere.
this is werewolfish.
Could be. It's a little smooth, but he could have fur up above this. They like doing that, right? Where like
Right.
think of like the vermin lords, which are
Yep.
theoretically big rats. They're not
Right.
completely fur covered. They just have fur in places and then smooth skin. So,
They, they do tufts of fur.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So it could be. But I'm saying it's some kind of death monster. Maybe a werewolf type thing. Maybe something else completely. It made me legitimately hopeful that look, I know that we know now this is a vampire release, which we're going to talk about in a minute.
Yep.
So we were right there that this is a vampire focused release, which is great.
Yep.
Still don't know the
Oh,
full scope of it, obviously.
Soul Blight.
Grave lords.
Grave Lords, which what tells me? It's vampire focused. Because it's Soul Blight.
Because it's Soul Blight, but then they threw in that Grave Lords, and if you're a Grave Lord, you're the Lord of other things. So how
Yeah.
deep into the line do they go? What other refreshed kits do we get? What new stuff? Who knows?
Yep. Yep.
Ben says werewolves aren't death or undead. Why are we associating them to death? Because they are part of the gothic horror that has traditionally been kind of within the terms of GW's world, felt like it belongs in that milieu, right?
Right.
If this was like D&D, no, it's completely different, right? There's nothing to do
Right.
with each other. But within the broader Warhammer world, they and the way they tend to view their aesthetics, it feels like they're connected. Anyways, like for example, if you look at the Death Blood Bowl team that has
Right.
a werewolf on it, and a mummy, and a Frankenstein type monster on it, right? So like they clearly make these associations in Warhammer world.
Yep.
I don't mean the building. I mean in Warhammer, the world of. There you go. Anyways,
Warhammer Worlds.
I by the way, Martin just summed it up perfectly. Werewolves are available in the Halloween Superstore. Therefore, it's death.
I mean, that's a good evaluation.
That is 100% spot on. That's how this stuff gets evaluated for them, right? Like it's not
Gargoyles. Because like
Sure.
when you look at Halloween decorations, like gargoyles sitting on top of skulls,
Yeah.
that are like candle holders, like all that's death.
If there were like if this release came out and they had a whole gargoyle group, like if there was gargoyles and a gargoyle leader, I'd be like, "Yep, totally not surprising to me. I'll buy that 100%."
I'd look at that and this should be like the Grand Alliance Halloween.
Right. Like if it reports to Jack Skellington or whatever, like it lives in Halloween Town, then it's part of the Death Grand Alliance, right? Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, that checks out.
Yeah, there you go. But this all made me excited that like, oh, could we get a new Vargulf? I know that sounds so stupid because that's technically part of FEC, but it is a vampire at the same time. And like, oh gosh, I would love so much to get a new version of that sculpt. The only reason I haven't done, I understand. But I want to be hopeful, Tom. Let me at least ride this hope for a minute. The only reason I haven't done that FEC do a new army in 24 hours is because I legitimately can't find anything that I'm really happy with as the Vargulf. I went through just so many different options. None of them fit what my vision or what I wanted. Because I just want a really cool version of the Vargulf model that's out right now.
Yep.
And all the 3D prints and everything like that, just none of them fit. So
there's a proxy that I liked from Immortal Realms.
They did a bunch I looked at that one. I thought it was okay, but at any rate, neither here nor there. The point is that I think we're going to get a bunch more stuff than we've seen, and as proof of that, by the way, which we'll get to. Let's keep going in the news. Tom, shall we just get to the exciting stuff? Enough of this rumor engine stuff. Let's get to what has been leaked this week, which eventually became a full-on early reveal.
Sure.
We're going to start... Oops, I went too far. We're going to start here. We're going to start with Vampire Lady, Tom. Okay?
I don't think people are going to like my takes this week.
Tom's hot. He's hot under the collar this week. Warning. Grinaldi, is the current Vargulf model not cool? Conceptually, it's cool. Actual model's very bad. It's an old Finecast model, and it has a lot of problems. It's a very weakly sculpted model. Resculpt that in plastic and a new style, and it would be amazing. That's the problem with the Vargulf. Okay, now, here we go. Vampire Lady with the bats in her hair. There's so many jokes. So many easy jokes.
It doesn't do it for me.
Sure.
Okay. I'm going to open with that.
Yep.
I like vampires.
Yep.
I do. But the hair just kills it for me.
I understand.
If, and you guys have heard me ranting the last day or so about this.
Sure.
I mean, what I'll say is this: if they're going for like or if they're going for like wanting to show bats in the area, that's fine. But they've done it better with other models where they show this like slightly connectedness. I think about like the doves on
Saint Celestine.
green Celestine, right?
Mm-hmm.
That just look beautiful.
Sure.
Or if they're going for a transformation, which I've heard some people say, they've done that remarkably in the Inari model.
Sure.
This is neither of those things.
I completely agree with the bats. I actually really like this girl's face. So this is where we got our initial leak. This came out on like Monday or something, right? This is where we got the name because we saw the Clam Pact leaked, and so it was Soulblight Gravelords, as we've mentioned.
Yep.
Let's just get this out of the way. Is this a new battle tome? Yes. Yes. This is a new battle tome. Because it says Soulblight Gravelords on the front of her thing, not Legions of Nagash. So, yes, it's a new battle tome. Does this mean a battle tome is on the way? Yes.
Yeah, and she's a Vampire Lord.
And she's a Vampire Lord.
So this is the replacement of the Vampire Lord model.
Good.
Like the Batwing.
Yeah. Terrible model. Terrible model.
Yep. Which is exciting.
I completely agree. So, things about this model. Love the mace. Her Sauron mace is awesome.
Yep.
Love the shield. Love the armor.
Yep.
The bats are silly. In fact, the bats are the only thing I don't like. I'll be 100% honest. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But Tom, I'm gonna magically fix this model for you right before your eyes.
I know.
You ready? Here we go, everybody.
Go ahead.
Ta-da! Look at how much better this model looks like this. Like, this is the smallest change. And suddenly her hair just looks like it's sort of whipping in the wind, which is fine. Like, that's cool. And I'm good with it. Like, all of a sudden, done. And by the way, I just cut this with, like paint in the same way that I would cut the actual model. Right? And just like that. She's awesome. I think this paint job lets it down. This feels like we didn't get enough attention on her that we should have. So maybe she had to be painted quickly or something. I don't know.
Yeah, skin tone's washed out, and the detailing on the hair is, like, as I said, it just feels like her hair is dirty.
Yeah, honestly, it feels way too pastel to me. It's like single color. Everything about this model is kind of boring in the way it's painted. Everything's very flat. And I just, like I said, I get the feeling that somebody probably didn't have enough time to paint this, right? Like they said, okay, we got to get this painted fast, blah, blah, blah. And, they did a good job. Like the edges are nice and smooth and clean, but it just, obviously this paint job is not living up to what this model is capable of. And, I
don't mind the shield and the armor and everything. I think that the line work and all that looks great. It's truly just the hair and the face.
And the face. Face is too white, hair is too red.
Yep. If they had changed that aesthetic a little bit, it would I think it would be fine.
Yeah, but she's great. I dig her.
Tilda Swanson,
Tilda Swinton, yeah,
but it's nice to have a model of her now.
Nicholas said, "Remind me not to show Vince any of my painted models." Hey, your models, I'm not going to hold to the same standard. You're not a multi-billion-dollar company who pays a team of highly paid, highly professional, incredible artists to paint your models. So that would be the difference there. I do hold them to a high standard, but I'm also forgiving because the reality is, not everybody gets to make that choice. It's not like they get to sit down and decide how much time they want to spend on a model. They have managers and bosses who probably sometimes give them deadlines that aren't fair. So, such is life. And that's okay. It's all right. Because we got to see something a little more exciting today. But we're going to get that. We're going to get there. But we're not there yet. So this was our thing. So Soulblight Gravelords. We're going to predict a whole bunch of what we think these Soulblight Gravelords are going to be like when we get out of the news. So this was our reveal. This leaked via Potato Cam early in the week. And then yesterday we got the full article showing her in more clear crispness. Any other thoughts on this girl, Tom?
She's fine. Sure. I think that we're going to get something Blood Dragon related.
Yeah, because it's the Blood Dragon icon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That tells me we're still keeping the Bloodline concept in the book.
Right. I agree. And in fact, so we had, it suggests to me that if I had suggested that the Mortarch could be, the Mortarch or the Abyss.
Yeah, sure.
and we may go the other direction.
Yeah.
And it could be a Mortark related to the Blood Dragons.
Well, that'd be cool. I mean, I think there's plenty of people who would welcome back Aberash. Let me just say that.
Yeah, I mean something related to that.
Last time we saw him, he died next to Bretonnians. He and them died together. All right, so we had this released, and my personal hope, by the by, I'll just give a little spoiler for my future predictions. My personal hope is that we keep the bloodlines, but they become broader sub-factions with more full rules that also affect their minions, right? This is what I pitched back on the Death Show a month ago or whatever, right? That it's not just like, so Blood Dragons, yes, it does this and this to your vampires, but also it does this and this to minions, right? You get a command ability that when used on these types of minions that make sense, boom. Yeah?
Yep. Yeah.
That would be the cool way to go. All right, let's get these boys up. Oh yeah, that's right. It's time. The other big leak we had on Monday was our Antelope Roo Riders, the little dinosaur riders. We had the side-on image of them.
They're the mutant antelope kangaroos.
Sure. They actually obviously are kind of influenced by little kangaroo-y, little antelope-y, obviously the dinosaur, the Dabadon or something. I don't know dinosaur names.
Sure.
It's the Menomina do Adon. But these guys, the side-on shot that we initially got out of Potato Cam really didn't do them justice. And I think that's partially because you don't get to see, like, their lean. Like, kangaroos don't really, like, go sideways. Right? Like,
These guys are in motion.
Yeah, kangaroos, like, when they move very vertically because they have all this, like, power pushing them up in this very vertical hop. Whereas, and
their legs have to move together.
Right.
These models very clearly have legs not moving together. They're running. They're not hopping.
It reminds me of the scene in Jurassic Park, and I've seen people meme this, right? Of the little dinosaurs that I think these are somewhat kind of calling to, right? Where they're running in a little flock, and he stands up and he's like, they do run in a pack, or whatever. It's that scene.
Yeah, and then they're flocking this way. Yeah.
Yes. So, I think these guys look really cool. I saw these, and my honest answer was I hate the elves on top because I don't like elves. The monster, the creature, whatever, the mount, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, is fantastic. I'm all about this thing. I want this instead of, like, as some units of my new Seekers. Okay? So, like, I really want to get a box of these and use the little antelope kangaroos, and then put my Bliss Barb Seekers on top of it, or the Slick Blade Seekers for the.
I mean, they do look like non-corrupted Seeker, creatures.
Yeah, they look like sort of that creature before it submitted to chaos, right?
Yes. Yep. I mean, I could go on a pretty scathing rant, but I'm not.
They don't hit you. They don't fit for you. That's what I'm hearing here.
Right.
That's fair.
Like, at the end of the day, this is what my take is going to be.
Sure.
They're just not, like, this is not what I'm interested in.
Okay.
They're fine as a unit. I have concerns. Mm-hmm. Because, I was talking with Martin Orlando about this, and, like, what Lumineth needs is not a skirmishy fast cav, which it seems like that's what these are. They need a mobile hammer, and that's something that they don't have, like, at all.
Sure.
I mean, these will help fill the hole better, I think, than the Riders, the Dawn Riders.
Yeah, I hope they don't get a mobile hammer in LRL.
And maybe they won't, but that's what I'm saying. Like, that's the real hole in the line, is a mobile hammer. So from a mechanic standpoint, I have concerns. The elves, clearly, they're still all from Whoville.
Got them hats. And it's the creatures updated. Now they have little antelopes on the top instead of yaks.
Right.
Yeah, it's great.
This is clearly where we're going.
Mm-hmm.
Which is fine. Like, I know some people are going to love this. I did, like, an impromptu poll on my Facebook page, or on my Twitter, just asking, and about 2/3 of people said that they love the release.
Yeah,
They really love the models that dropped this week.
The results were very positive. Yeah.
Yeah, overwhelmingly. Like, most people love kangaroo-ish calf, which, you know what? Awesome. Like, I'll say this, I like these aesthetics better than the bowls.
Okay. That's fair.
So, yeah, that's what I'll say.
Yeah, you fit in the 9%, but that's a sizable percentage because you're a nope on your own poll, but that's okay.
Yep.
You know, but I was happy to see it worked for so many people. I mean, to me, like I said, I loved these mounts as soon as I saw them. And, you know, somebody asked me a question in a previous show of like, well, what if these kinds of weird mounts came out for an army you love? I wish! Why don't they? Why does this keep happening? Why do the stupid elves keep getting the cool mounts? I want these mounts.
Vince is going to convert using these for other armies.
Yes. Like, I was like, maybe I could put orcs on top. I don't know. I'll see how big they are, because this would be an awesome thing. Like, I'd love to put 3 orcs on top and make a new pig unit out of these, but I don't think they're big enough. I think they're kind of weedy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, please start getting weird with my armies. Thank you. That's what I'm asking for. Yeah, so, I mean, the Rue Riders were cool. The Rue Riders. Yeah.
I'm going to jump in. Somebody had made a comment that they expected me to be hopping mad about these models.
The puns, they're endless.
Hopping. And a lot of folks are probably tuning in, waiting for me to just be scathing. And I think for me at this point, I'm just not interested.
Sure. Yeah, I get you. Like, you've officially checked out of LRL. Like, you've seen where the ship is sailing, and you're like, not. Or where the train. Better analogy. You've seen where the train is going, and you're like, I'm getting off. Like, you just at the next station, you got off the train. Whatever happens to that train from this point, it doesn't matter. You're not on it.
Right. Like, I'm just like, you know what?
Sure.
Like, it's just apathy at this point, where, like, of course, this is literally, yes, this is the trajectory the train's going on, and it's just going to go there, and that's fine. I will say this, kudos to GW for sticking to the archetypes, because if I ever did want to do this army, I have like 20 Illyrian Reavers in a box back there.
Sure.
And they're pretty much 1-to-1 conversions.
Yeah. Well, this is what I said to you. Like, if you like the army, just pick a mount of all of the different mounts that they have. Horses and these things and whatever else we're going to get. And just put everything on that mount. Right? Just make the version of the thing. Because we had talked about that before, how in old Dark Elf, your old Dark Elf army, you would put everything on cold ones. Because you have this weird rule that armies aren't allowed mixed mounts. This is just like, this is your rule.
Yeah, this is a me thing. Like, so, for example, like, there are some exceptions, like, in my Stormcast, like, if I'm going to run dragons, I want to have Dracoth.
Mm-hmm. They'll have to be thematically... Yeah, I get it. They'll have to be thematically the same. I understand.
And if they're not, like, it's just weird to me. Like, I understand that you can have different...
both armies, historical and modern, have used different types of animals within their military forces for various and sundry purposes.
Camels and elephants, sure.
Yeah.
For me...
And horses, yes.
Yeah, but for me, at the end of the day, like, it's about aesthetics, and what I like to see on my side.
And that's perfectly fine. Junius had asked, do you think it's a problem them only having one leg connected to the base? No, these guys will be pretty lightweight. I mean, new plastic models, and that it's not just one leg; it's a leg going down into a rock. If you look at it, or like there's extra stuff there. I have lots and lots of mounts where they have one leg connected, and it's fine.
They're not Canary.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, these guys will be more than fine. That's a pretty, like, that actual base, when it comes down, that leg is actually thick enough. And when it comes down to the large rock, your connection point will be quite significant. So, there you go. Okay. Cool beans. I love the Rue Riders. I'm in for these guys. This is like one of my favorite units I had seen thus far. As soon as I saw these guys, I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. I will find a way to integrate the Rues into Slaanesh. I might love these Rues more than the new Seekers, and I really like the new Seekers, but I really, really like these Rues. And then they went ahead and just redeemed themselves all day long. Then they revealed the Lord Regent. And my first response, like I was sitting there with, I think I was having lunch at the moment. Yeah, I was having lunch when this reveal popped up. And I looked at it and I was sitting there next to my wife and I was like, holy crap, that is a beautiful model. Like this thing blew me away. This guy is incredible. I love everything about him. And you know, I threw this dude up on Twitter and said, you know, this is the best model they've released in the range. It's absolutely stunningly gorgeous. Whoever sculpted this, you should have gotten a 5 on your review. Solely based on this alone, you could have been absent the rest of the year, and you should be absolutely getting the best review. Like, this is a killer model. Killer. I love everything about it. I think even you, Tom, are like neutral on this one.
Yeah, like what I'll say is this. This is my favorite model of the range, I think, so far.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the elf. I even love the like animal aesthetics that they went with on the helm.
Mm-hmm.
Like the bird feather, you know, like I it's the first of the animal ones that I looked at and went, I don't hate that. Like yeah, I actually kind of like that. You know, for me, like the catalope, like the antelope cat.
Yeah, I got it.
It's just something.
I got it.
The catalope is just something that like it just doesn't do it for me. I'm neutral on that, but the posturing, the model, the elf, all that's just stunning.
Mm-hmm. Just the way his cloak is. Yeah, I agree on the headdress. Some people talked about switching the sword for a spear. Sure, you could do that in a heartbeat, easy. Like that.
And it may come with that.
Yeah, exactly. There could be multiple options in the kit, right? Yeah.
Right.
They love giving heroes like this different weapon options, right? I mean, this guy is bonkers.
It probably looked good with a Sphearinx head.
Too big. The Sphearinx has got a really big head. Yeah. I mean, it might fit. I don't know. Obviously, I don't have this in front of me, but I'm guessing that's a 75 mil.
Yep.
Base. And like the Sphearinx is on a 92 mil, and he takes up that space pretty aggressively.
Oh, okay.
Like his head is sizable, bigger than you think it is. He's got a big old noggin. Head, move. At any rate, yeah, this guy's an A+. Cracked it out of the park, home run. It's somewhere. This is in somebody's windshield in the parking lot. Like, this is absolutely the best they've done. And this raises the questions of exactly how much more of this is coming, right? Because we still think we're getting the Sword Masters. I still believe we're getting Sword Masters. They've mentioned them in stories. They have them in the Underworlds kit. I do not know how we don't get Sword Masters, right? Is this guy the only person on this type of amount, or is this a unit as well? Somewhere?
I don't know. They've literally busted the doors off the zoo. Right. And they're just rolling out like all the weird animals. Mm-hmm. And you know what? If that's their thing, cool. Yeah.
There you go. Not for Tom, though. Not for Tom.
Yeah.
But that's all right. Okay, so that brings us then of all the releases and leaks. So then the last thing they mentioned, we're going to get into this at the end, but I'm going to leave this up for a second. Okay? Because this is going to set us up for the Dead and the Divine when we get into our predictions, because there's still a lot more to go through here. So much more to go through. But that brings us up to everything they released this week. Almost. I know I'm sitting on one thing we haven't talked about yet. Yes, I know what came out today. Don't worry, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it when we get into what we're going to see this weekend. But first, I want to do some just quick normal segments. We'll leave the news and then basically pick back up with the news. So that's fine. Tom, let's do some pick of the week real quick. What do we got?
Yeah, for me, I'm going to highlight Mr. Mephisto's rant cast from, I don't think it was this week, it was a prior week with him and Joe, Halo Twitch, and they had just some fantastic hot takes. And they like hit every topic from politics to models to all of it, to gaming to. So check it out. We'll have the link below.
Yes, absolutely. It was great. Warning, spicy takes and strong language included. Okay.
Yeah.
My pick of the week is going to be from our good buddy 2 Plus Tough. If you're like me and you've been enjoying Soulbound and you're thinking about getting into it, I know one of the questions you might have that I had the first time I heard about the concept was, wait, why add this extra layer of Soulbound to it, right? Why would you actually do this? That seems stupid and unnecessary. Can't we just be adventurers like in every D&D game ever? I came to really love the concept of Soulbound in the game and think it actually provides tremendous value in separating your characters and driving you with a sort of impetus. I think it's actually a very critical part of the world. You can, in the base book, run without the binding, and that's fine. But I think that... but Doug put out a video called But Why Become Soulbound? And he walks you through kind of the explanation of what it is and why people do it. And it is really fantastic. To me, it went from a big question mark of like, why even have this, to an absolute outstanding strength of the game. It sets it aside in theme and tone and tenor, gives you something to actually seat your characters in the world in an interesting way, and your position within it. So, check it out. Both will be linked down below. Okay. So, quick and easy. Let's get to some just very fast hobby time. All right, hobby time. Tom, what have you been working on, man?
I've been building a lot of models this week.
You have?
I got some gaming in this weekend. Let's see if you can see the top of this model, if it actually breaks into frame. It does. Look at that.
Yeah, you're in frame.
There is the top of the model that I'm working on right now.
Okay. Okay.
And so I'm doing a Vince base.
Yeah.
Another one. So I got some games in this weekend and appreciated how my mixed 5-man Bugman's unit went. And so decided that for my final 5 Thunder models that I would do another 5 of Bugman's crew. So I have a 10-man Bugman's Rangers unit.
Awesome.
Yeah, so they're pretty fantastic. Put together a good 20 or so Bubble Boys, which will take me to 48.
So many. That's so many.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's like 4 max size units. That's 1,600 points.
Sure.
And then throw in a Endrin Boy and 2...
Army's done.
Two
Who needs
Kevin.
boats?
Who needs boats? All of the guns.
Mm-hmm.
So just lots of building this week. Did some priming, and I'm running out of models. I got a bunch of models in 2 weeks, or a little over a week ago, and I've almost built all of them. So
nice. For myself, I finished up the Dread pageant, or I'm about to finish it up before I leave. I'll have it done by this weekend, and I'll share it. I won't have any hobby time in between now and then, but it's just a lot of quick touches. Also working on, I'm just prepping up a model for my hobby jam in February. I'm real excited about that. I've got the cool, got a really cool model to work on for that project for our hobby jam in February. And yeah, I'm not gonna have much hobby time. Like after I hit end on this show, that will be the end of my hobby time until this weekend. So, so I had to do that. But man, was that Dread pageant like really fun to paint. But it also made me go, if every model in like the Blissbarb Seekers is as detailed as that one archer who's in there, gonna be in for it. Let me just say that. And I don't make things easy on myself, but at any rate, that's fine. I'm still looking forward to it. So good stuff, and I look forward to whatever else is coming with Slaanesh. I'm not sure what project I'm working on next. We'll see. That basically finishes up all my pre-Slaanesh stuff for the Mortals that I can get my hands on now. All right, now after that quick diversion, let's get back to the Dead and the Divine. All right, so now we're going to talk about the rest of the stuff they revealed, all the things related to this. This Saturday, we have a show. Or we don't have a show. Sorry, they have a show. I mean, we'll probably do a show in response to this, but it'll be late in the afternoon. I'm going to warn you now. It will not be an early morning response show, just like we've done in the past, to their reveal show, because I will not be in a place where I will be able to stream. So it'll be probably late afternoon. I am imagining we're going to need to do one, just
I
based
mean,
on what we've seen so far.
we'll see.
Sure. Okay. Way to temper expectations, but this is what they've said they're going to talk about: Age of
Yep.
Sigmar, 40k, Kill
Yep.
Team, Titanicus, and Underworlds. Now, their little teaser image today was of a big Imperial Knight leg, which I assume is the Titanicus thing. So that's
Yep.
cool. Kill Team, I would hope and assume they're going to talk about Pariah Nexus or
Yep.
go into full reveal and detail of that. So that'll be nice. Underworlds, 40k, I have no idea. I assume probably the next codices or something that are coming and whatever, maybe a model or two that are cool. I assume it'll be a Space Marine thing. But obviously, what we're here for is AOS, Underworlds, and maybe this new thing. So before we get into the rest of AOS and Underworlds, which are going to take up the rest of our time here in this show, Tom, what do you think that new thing is?
I'm gonna stand by my answer of how I answered like a week or two ago.
Okay.
I think it's Warhammer Quest.
That's a good idea. Like, you had called that out of nowhere back in the show, and I didn't see it coming. But it's not a bad call.
Because I've been disenfranchised on my Vampirates.
Sure.
I'm gonna say that we're also not gonna get an Order of Aesir army.
That it's going to be part of whatever you think this is.
Yeah, I think that we're gonna get like a Witch Hunter model in. Oh, you ready for this? Ready for this hot take?
I'm ready.
I think we're gonna get a Witch Hunter. We're gonna get a Witch Hunter style model in the Warhammer Quest, and potentially the ogre with petticoat.
Yeah, or whatever he was. Yes.
Yes, is possibly from that as well. And that's not a call out to Vampirates. That's a call out to Witch Hunter jackets.
Sure.
And so that's either like an undead like Witch Hunter, like so somebody that's been turned.
Yeah.
Or it's a member of the crew, and the coloration we just didn't understand what was going on.
Sure. Interesting. Okay. I could see that. Yeah,
So
I
that's
mean
where
that's not a bad call. I feel like it's got to be something new just based on what they said in the article, right? So it's not going to be like Warcry or something like that. Could it be like Battlefleet Gothic or Dreadfleet, a new Dreadfleet or something like that? Sure, those seem entirely possible. I'll be sad if it's those.
Right.
I don't think it'll be anything to do with the old world. I just like they're not gonna wrap that into there. When they do old world stuff, it'll be like, hey, this is an old world focus thing, right?
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, if it was on my money, I would say either you're right or it's Battlefleet Gothic, right? Like those two things feel like the most likely.
And I'm gonna go in and say that the main enemy of this is going to be death in the Warhammer Quest.
Yeah, that would make sense because I guess the previous incarnations were basically chaos. So sure.
And that may be where our werewolves are.
Oh, okay.
So maybe they're not in the book formally, but maybe they show up and they're playing with the idea of this. Now, if it was a perfect world and it was up to me, what this release would be a Witch Hunter-esque style, like cities thing where it's in the remnants of the dock district of Har-Koran.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that'd be sweet.
And so it's like the city that's newly been taken over by the Dark Elves.
Mm-hmm.
But the Undercity is infested by vampirates.
All right.
And then you have witch hunters, and like the witch hunters, the Order of Aesir are going in trying to pull out the remnants of the people who survived from Har-Koran, the takeover, like the humans and all that.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see it being a couple of different places they could situate it, but it feels like they do a cool, if they're going to go that direction.
It needs to be a narrative, right?
Yeah, it feels like it'll be an urban type setting, right? Driven by the narrative.
Yes.
Yeah. So, hey, look, if you're right, if it's like it's probably going to be something like Battlefleet Gothic, just to let me down, right? Like that's what it's, you know,
Yeah, that's how this always works.
right. But let me tell you what, I really want you to be right. Like I want to have this like gritty urban Warhammer quest witch hunter thing, whatever you're talking about. Like that sounds amazing.
Doesn't
So it
doesn't it?
does. It really does. Like I would be in like Flynn for that. And if that means we get new cool heroes that somehow join up into the Order armies,
Yeah.
again, also excellent.
Yep.
All right. So now let's get into the proper stuff. I mean, again, we don't know anything. It's an empty box, a question mark. It could be anything. It could be a boat, right? So who the
But
heck knows?
but what I'll say is this: because it's down there with like Adeptus Titanicus, and it doesn't seem to fit in the categories of AOS, Underworld, Kill Team, or 40K. It tells me that it's a special teams project.
Right. Yep. And it should be mentioned, yes, as Spider said, we're going to get a lot of not only what the death is, but who's going to stand against death.
Yeah.
Right? Like because they specifically mentioned the 40K, like, or not 40K, sorry. They specifically mentioned the like thank you. Yes, I'll just read Spider's quote. What heroes will stand against the reborn evil? You might just find out on Saturday as we raise the stakes.
Ah,
Yeah, we saw the model too. We get it. Stakes.
yeah.
He has stakes and a stake gun, and stake guns are cool. Boom! Then they went and dropped this vampire on us today. Oh my goodness! All memories of that previous vampire that we had looked at earlier in the show were just
Yep.
driven away, just
Yep.
just gone. Like a this was like the nuclear bomb dropping in Terminator 2. I was there
Yep.
on the chain link fence with Linda Hamilton as they dropped this incredible model. We've seen the silhouette for a long time, right?
Yep.
And Donald, yes, they did say it's a new product, a new
And
thing.
and as they point out, we know we have this name Ulfenkarn,
Yes.
which could very easily be the city where this is taking place in.
Oh, sure. Yeah, Ulfenkarn could also be the seat for the Warhammer Quest or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways,
This model's amazing. It's everything I wanted it to be. This paint job does not let me down. I am very happy with this one. I think they nailed it. It's incredible, and I dig the living heck out of her. I love the sword tucked under her hair. Like that's so insane. It's great. Like she clearly put her sword up on her shoulder and then flipped her hair. That's how it
yeah,
got like that.
yeah. There's
Uh,
narrative to what happened here.
yes. This is incredible, and I love it. This is obviously the first member of our new Underworlds warband. We'll look at it. We'll look at the roadmap in just a moment. Uh, Holy Moses.
Yeah.
This model's great.
I mean, it's a vampire with two cutlasses.
Yeah.
So
She's
it's
piratey enough for me. Let me just say that. She is
right.
piratey enough for me. Look, the silhouette, like, I wasn't expecting a tricorn hat or a parrot on the shoulder, right? Like, that wasn't.
Right.
Nope.
Right.
She looks like she is dressed and feels kind of like a Black Ark Fleet Master or Corsair, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I understand she doesn't have the cloak, but that's like a specific Dark Elf thing, right?
Yep. He has the Bouchier. A lot of people are complaining about the armor. Like, oh, pirates don't wear armor. Yeah, but if you're a supernaturally strong creature of the night pirate, you can probably swim in armor.
Right. Yes. I don't think she's worried about that. Like, oh no, I'm gonna drown,
she can
I guess?
probably
That's not how this
fly.
works. I just
You
walk.
can probably fly too.
Right. Yes, like you can just put on armor when you're a vampire on the ocean. It's cool. Pirate, you can be if you're a pirate vampire, you can wear armor. It doesn't matter if you go overboard. Who cares? You
Yeah.
can't drown.
Also true.
Like okay, great. Yes, so her name is Velis von Fane, which is cool. They did reveal her name with some art for it.
Yep.
This model I love. Like the hair is absolutely insane and ridiculous. The swords are great.
The hair is very similar. Like she does the same hair routine clearly as the other girl, because like the strands of her hair are huge, like almost pentacly, which is fine. Like some people really dig that aesthetic, and I think it works for her for this like for vampires where it may not work for other folks.
Yeah, I'm all about this model. I really think this looks great. You know, can I just talk about one very minor sculpting detail that I'm in love with on this model, Tom?
Sure.
Something that I bet that I'm sure most people don't notice, but it's just something that gets me all the time.
Okay.
Look at the hilt on her sword, specifically like the grip.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
every grip for every weapon in fantasy is almost always the same thing. It's either
Right.
the crosshatch or the wrapped leather, which is fine. Like I get that. That is
Yep.
a pretty standard hilt make. I'm not arguing with the authenticity of that. It's fine. It's just every time I have this unexpected leather cloth
Yeah.
that I'm like trying to work around a hand or whatever, and it's just kind of annoying
Yep.
because you got like it's that wrapping, that style of a wrapping is actually a really annoying thing to paint and make look right because you have to edge, highlight it, and blackline every piece of it and build up and then
Yep.
texture every little bit of it. Or at least I do. You do you and whatever you find comfortable with. But my point is, I don't like painting tiny little hilt sections on the bottom, grip sections on the bottom of the sword. Right? She doesn't have it like that. It's much more harder, almost like a more solid grip, right?
Right.
Because again, her hand is probably such that she can like grab a piece of concrete and crush it, right? Because
Yeah.
she's supernaturally strong, so she doesn't need like some soft leather to make sure that her hand is okay. It's the tiniest of details, but boy did it make me so happy to see because it's such a different little thing. So I quite liked that. And then I like the gorget look with the shoulder pads. I think that looks nice. So yeah, good stuff.
Um, I like it. I like the corset.
Yeah, sure, 100%. It's good. Like I like the division line there between sort
Yep.
of the bustier part and the main like I don't know undergarment she's wearing, which clearly
Yep.
extends down onto her legs, like she's wearing some kind of one piece undergarment, right?
Yep. Yeah, I like it. I like the different textures. I even kind of like the hair on this one.
I really like her hair. It's like so crazy and over the top, which I enjoy. I mean, like we both have Daughters of Cain armies,
Right.
so over the top hair comes with the territory, right?
Yeah. And I even like the face. The almost animalistic vampire face. Like they've been doing more of these.
Yeah, this face is really good. Like I like the really pronounced fangs. She has very very pronounced like hard cheeks. It's gonna be a lot of way
Yep.
to play in there. So
Yep.
yeah, this was great, and we still have more members of her warband to reveal.
For true.
Yeah, her crew.
Uh, it should be worth pointing out that she's on a stone floor, not on a ship deck.
Yeah, sure, sure. But again, this is piratey enough for me. I wasn't ever asking for vampires and freaking tricorn hats and
Sure.
peg
Sure.
legs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like I want this kind of an aesthetic. When I saw this, I was at this. This was like this punched me in the face. This is what I wanted. This is what I'm here for. This has been a great week for me. I am very excited about everything that I'm going to be buying and painting this year. My wallet is less excited, but I'm excited.
Yeah. Like I like her, a lot. Like I don't want to dismiss this. Like this is my favorite model that we've seen. Yeah. Like I don't want to undersell this. This is probably the most favorite model that I've seen in the last
A while.
year and a half.
Sure. I mean, the fact that you thought that long says a while, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
this is great.
Yeah.
Like sculpting wise, this is an absolute home run. Okay.
Yep.
So again, hello sculptor. If you watch this, hi GW. More like this. This is incredible work. You nailed it.
Yeah.
However long you spent doing it, it was worth every minute, top to bottom. This is fantastic.
I'm excited to see the hair game on the rest of the vampires.
Absolutely, right? Where's that hair game at? That's what we're here for.
Because it's going to be clearly what this tells me is it's going to be stunning.
Right. We're going to do a model hair review. All right, so that brings us then into the roadmap we're going to see for Underworlds. Like, we'll see the rest of her warband on Saturday,
Yep.
so we know that's going to be the Underworlds reveal. And as well, we might get a little bit of teasers of something else, too. Who knows? First thing that's important to realize with Underworlds is that we have a new timeline. This did change.
Yep.
They had to push everything back a month, right? So the Chaos, the awesome Chaos Warband is now February instead of January. The Seraphon are now March instead of Feb. Basically, things got pushed back a month until we get to May.
Right.
And they're hoping to catch back up. That's their plan. And I want to talk about this for a second. I think this is actually really important. Okay?
Okay.
Before we get into the specifics of what's on this picture over here. I'm not angry about them pushing it back at all.
Sure.
Totally makes sense.
Yep.
Things outside of their control. If you're getting angry because things got pushed back a month, you're kind of a jerk. All right? I'm just going to say that. There's a lot of good reasoning to do this. And moreover, if you're a jerk to them about them pushing this thing back a month, all that tells them is don't release roadmaps ever.
Right.
Okay? Why they're afraid of releasing roadmaps is because they're afraid they'll have to disrupt it. Like, they know what they're doing for the next year. They know what the releases are for 2021. Right. Or ideally what they are, right? Now, sometimes giant global pandemics happen and disrupt things. But, like, there is a board where they undoubtedly have a roadmap plan for 2021, 2022, and so on. Right? They just don't tell us what it is. Because they know if they have to move stuff that we're going to be like, and we're going to lose our minds.
Right.
And I don't like that. Like, as somebody in my professional career, like my normal job that I do for a living, I have to manage roadmaps for, a very big multiple pieces of software.
Right.
And communicate that to people. And sometimes things move. Like, that's what happens. And I want to encourage you, GW, to do this kind of roadmap for more stuff. They kind of started doing it for 40K a little, right? Because they gave a little vision into the Codicy releases, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so Joe McGill said, as long as we don't get a reveal and have to wait 4 months before we can buy it like Lumineth and SOB and Slanesh. That's exactly what I'm saying. Yes, that's what I want, Joe. Okay? I want them to be transparent. Show me a rolling 6-month roadmap or something like that. Or twice a year release a new roadmap for the 6 months or whatever. Okay? And you can be cheeky with it. You can show less than, and we can still roll to the reveal. But give us an idea. And this goes in line with something that Rob had said this week that I actually thought was really good. Rob talked about kind of reveal trailers on his like, he did a little stream show in response to the leaks or whatever.
Yep.
And the reveals. And he talked about how much stronger the release reveals are when they're grounded in like narrative videos. And his examples were stuff like OBR and the Tithe series of videos, right? That stuff. He pointed to the Gene Stealer Cults introduction video and stuff like that. And I completely agree with him on this. I want to see more stuff like that. To me, a good reveal isn't just the models with cool music. Like, I want that. Don't get me wrong. I want that.
You want the Marathi video.
Yeah, I love that Marathi video. But I also think that he's right. Like, that Gene Stealer Cult video is bonkers amazing. Like, it puts you... Like, I wanted to play Gene Stealer Cults all of a sudden. I don't know what happened. I don't even play 40K really anymore. Right?
Right.
But that's how good it was, because it just pulled you into the story. So I want to see them do that roadmap and then start doing... Because then, if we know it's that far in advance, they can start rolling out narrative trailers and stuff like that way earlier. Yeah. I know that's cost. I know that's money. I know that's time. But I just think hype. It's hype.
Yeah.
Right? We knew Cyberpunk 2077 was coming out in like 2013, but maybe they worked on it. Maybe they did or didn't work on it for the next 3 years. But my point is, it was hype, right? I'm not asking for like anything more than like a 6-month roadmap with their goals. And if things move, hey, that's cool.
Right.
Like, I understand.
That just happens.
The majority of the community will understand. Right. So don't let a couple loud, mean people, take you out of it. That would be my point. So I was just something that occurred to me as part of this whole thing as I looked at this roadmap and was so happy with it that I wish we had one of these. Just like I wish there was literally one of these graphics I could go grab for every game system.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yep.
So we've got our vampires. Fantastic. They're now in April. Absolutely beautifully. Yeah, as Curran said, and you get people invested not just financially but narratively. Agreed. Completely agreed. We got our reveal here, so that's a bone splitter, right? I mean, that's what that is.
That is a bone splitter.
Yes. We had said originally we thought they were bone splitters. I know Paul was pushing very hard that he wanted it to be spider fang because the bones kind of looked like
Of,
fangs,
of
and
course, it's not that.
I said no, no, it's going to be bone splitters.
Yep.
That silhouette is clearly a big orc with a big
Yeah.
some kind of bone club or something.
Yep.
So yeah,
A jawbone probably.
yeah, or like some kind of a. It looks almost like he's in kind of the big stabba position, right? So
Yep.
maybe he has like a moderate stabba.
A not so big stabba.
Not
yeah.
so big stabba. Yeah, exactly. Um, so I'm excited about that, and then I think we know that the next two are already like, just because the symbols are so clear, you're going to see OBR as the one after that because we know there's an OBR warband we've already seen model releases for, and then the last one's probably IDK. So
Yep.
cool, great, awesome. If they keep killing it like they have, I mean, these first three sets for this season have been strong.
I mean, no. Let's be fair. I don't know that there's really an Underworld's warband that's been bad.
I mean, there's got to be one, right?
Maybe
Maybe
Sylvan.
Maybe what?
Sylvaneth.
Like the Sylvaneth one proper, not the Kurnothi.
Right.
Like the Ynnar's Guardians or whatever.
Yeah. That has
okay.
the weird spites, not spites. The tree revs that had bows and stuff like that. Like that didn't fit with the rest of the army. But in general, like the models have just been stunning that come out of Underworlds.
Agreed. But I think this is especially strong.
Yeah.
Okay. Like
a Godsworn Hunt. That's fair.
Yeah, that's probably fair. There you go. Thank you, Andrew. I agree. But that's okay because that Chaos one again got swept away like so much ash into the bin of history with this new incredible one that's going to release next month.
Yep.
Yeah. So all about that. Okay, great. So that's Underworlds. Anything else we want to say about Underworlds, Tom, and these awesome model releases?
I can't wait. I'm sad I have to wait till April to buy those that vampire warband.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's too long. It's too long. I needs it now. Okay. Somebody who's Chris Teal says, I wish they weren't push fit. Yeah, I don't know. I never have a problem with it, but that's so maybe like so. Let me give a quick tip on push fit. Maybe this will help some people. Maybe it won't. Chris, you probably already know this, but that's okay. So with push fit models, you have a socket and the pin, right? So what I always do is I take the socket and I cut a triangle into it with my clippers or my nippers, and then it slides right in and you get a completely clean joint. It's still tight, so effectively instead of the whole socket, you cut it to be something more like this. Like you just literally cut a pie piece out of it. Think of like literally a pie slice out with your nippers or your clippers, and then they'll just slide right together, no issue. And they still stay tight, and you got a great joint.
I use my X-Acto knife and I just bore the inside of the receiving end out just a touch.
Sure.
And it does the same thing.
I've tried lots of different methods, like cutting the pin, shaving the pin, boring out. This one in the end is that has worked the best because by snipping that pie piece out of the socket, you still have a ton of joint space, but it will naturally separate when you push the pin in. Does that make sense?
That's right. Yeah.
So and it's equal all the way down, so you don't have the problem like with your X-Acto knife, you're not getting it evenly all the way to the base of it. So, just
that's
a thought. Like I've been, I've tried lots of different methods. If you have a different way that works for you, super cool. But that's been the one that works for best for me. So now I brought up a Mighty Wind. This was a little reveal thing. So let's talk about the Dead and the Divine. Let's get back to AOS. Tom, Soul, Blight, Grave, Lords. Boom. We know we've got a new Vampire Lord. We know there's still a lot more death stuff. Warboss Kurgan, the master of the rumor engines, the Lord Commander, the Lord Celestant / Megaboss / whatever of rumor engines, had put out a big thread on Twitter today that was like, here are all of the rumor engines that are not solved that could be related to death. And it was just like, 4 images, 4 images, 4 images, 4 images. He had like 16 images in the thread.
Wow.
Of potential death wins. How big is this release? I know my vote. Real big. I'm saying this is going to be probably bigger than I even thought.
I'm gonna say it is a total of eight kits.
8 kits. So then theoretically, at maximum that would mean something like 16 War Scrolls if everything was a dual kit. But realistically, you'd probably end up more with like 12 War Scrolls, right?
Yep. Plus the old stuff, which puts us like because you have both the dragon, you have the dragon, you have the Coven Throne.
Yeah, the fact that this is vampire focused really sort of clicked into place for me this week. Like, I've been saying that for weeks.
Yeah.
But then as I thought about it, in OBR, you've got Nagash and Archon. You got the Bony Boys, right?
Right. Yep.
So who did that leave as your leadership that hasn't been touched?
It's Nefrata and
Manfred. It's the vampires. Right. That's all that's left. This had to be.
I told you that.
Yeah. I understand.
We literally had this conversation.
Yes. It didn't click in the same way for me until I don't know, the penny dropped this week, Tom. I don't know what to tell you. Okay.
That's fair.
Like, I mean, I've been on board with it. I was never disagreeing with you, right? It was just I can't believe that, like, that division line should have told us for a mile away that what we were going to get was vampires. Right.
Agreed.
Yes. So, yes, the Morghast's ending up in OBR as well.
Yep.
So to me, with our mighty wind here, the dead and the divine, I think that we're going to see both of those things. Like, I don't know for 40k what, like maybe a new Sisters Codex will be the divine part, whatever. But I think we'll have both dead and divine in AOS. Go ahead.
Are you positing that this is death?
I'm positing that this is an AOS model. That's all I'm positing.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. Yes, this is not death. This is one of your Lumineth air spirits. Because the wind temple, the air temple, is the temple that we're doing. The Hoppy, like, get air cav, this is the air temple. And so this is going to be something air related. We've literally seen we're getting wind riding mages.
Completely agreed. I think this is an LRL thing. Yes.
Yes. And I agree with Martin Orlando. I don't think that this release will see Swordmasters. I think they're water temple. I don't think Swordmasters are air.
Okay. I don't know. They spin around a lot. It's kind of whirlwind fighting style.
They do, but they're because of like
they fight like The Witcher. Lots of spins.
But because of the historic like stance dancing kind of movement flowy stuff, like that's all water. Like that's not air. And so like Swordmasters will be they'll be water. I don't think that they're going to be air. Right.
They could always just be Venari itself in some way. Like they could be core.
Yep.
So, who knows.
So here's the real question, though, Vince.
Yeah. Before we get on to full death, I want to tarry on LRL here for a moment, okay?
Yep.
So we got LRL Part 2.
Yep.
And this has come pretty fast on the back of LRL Part 1. Now, obviously, I think originally they were supposed to be about the same distance because LRL was supposed to drop early in the year, and then I think we were supposed to get Part 2 in 2020. Okay?
Yeah, probably.
I think this is how they've solved their problem. All right?
Okay.
Let me explain, Tom, what I mean.
Okay.
GW has a challenge.
Yep.
AOS people probably don't want to be on the Battletome treadmill.
Right.
And at the same time, they recognize that they have a problem with the Battletome treadmill.
Right.
And AOS 3, reasonably, most people are pretty happy with the game. It doesn't have a huge number of proud nails.
Right.
There's not a lot of really massive systemic changes we would want to make that would invalidate old Battletomes.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So sure, you can print new Battletomes. right?
Right.
You can introduce new armies. There's probably
Yep.
some limit to that, right?
Right.
Where the game eventually just becomes untenable and you've got to start retiring people.
Yep. Or
But I think,
combining them.
or combining them. But I think we've got a ways to go until that,
Yep.
honestly. And I don't think they want to put people on the Battletome treadmill because they realize that creates a diminishing marginal utility, right? You lose people because people are just
Yep.
like, oh, I've got to buy this thing again. I just bought one a year ago, 2 years ago. And AOS players aren't Space Marine players.
Yep.
Right? So they said, okay, well, we've got to sell books. Right? Like, we got to sell books. And we're going to do, and so instead of trying to silver bullet it, they've went to a broad-based strategy on how to solve this problem. Okay? Step one, we've already talked about. It's the Broken Realms thing and narrative story movements like that. Which, again,
Yep.
we're all like, thumbs up, right? Broken Realms Marathi was amazing.
Yep.
I want more Broken Realms. I hope we see part 2 this weekend.
Yep. I think we will.
I feel like we have to. Come on.
Really? I'm gonna be, well, I'm interested to see where you're going with this, but I'm gonna be ambitious with what my call is gonna be. I think I know how they solved it, but I want to hear what you're gonna say first.
Okay. So the answer is they figured out, and you see it with Slaanesh and LRL, and I think you'll see it in the future, is we can do part 2s to books. Like, even if we have a conception of a whole range, we split it up. So instead of saving all of it until one big shot and releasing all of LRL as like one thing, I think this was absolutely an intentional choice. And yes, I think there'll be a new LRL book on the backside of this.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Maybe it'll be a book 2. Maybe it won't replace the old one. Maybe it'll be meant to go with the new one. Maybe it will replace the old one. I don't know about that. But I think effectively the way that they figured out how to solve it is, one, we intersperse narrative books and big narrative movements. Okay, good. Thumbs up, A+. Right?
Yep.
But also, we're going to take the existing armies as we release them, and we'll kind of go, and we'll make them a little more of a staccato release. Right? And at the same time, the Broken Realms feeds a future version of the book, right? Because then that stuff gets integrated in whenever you need to eventually replace it down the line, and it gives you a justification for that book.
Yep.
You cut some stuff, you add in the new stuff, right? And, some people have called it like DLC. That's been kind of discussed in here. Look, they got to sell books, folks. This is what it is. Like, this is capitalism. I don't know what to tell you.
That's it.
This is how the system works. It's not a charity operation. Okay? So, like, and if you don't just want them, if we don't want them just completely replacing the book over and over again, this seems like a better way to go, which is give me a new section of an army, give me like a book 2 or whatever.
Right.
Give me an expansion. Like, I'm getting a new Slaanesh book. Now, that's less than 2 years after my original Slaanesh book came out. Right?
Yep.
But I'm happy about the additional models. Like, we're getting new models. They're justifying it, right? It's not just, here's a new battle tome with just new rules for no reason. Right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a release to justify it. I don't know if it's the better way or not, but it's a way.
So, do you want to know what I think they're doing?
I'm ready, man.
So, the way that I think that this ends up getting trotted out and rolled out is, I actually think the magic of it, they market tested it already. And that was namely on the dual boxes, the dual army boxes.
Sure.
I think what they've discovered is that with those boxes, they release staple-bound publications of printed War Scrolls.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been doing this with single models for a while now.
Sure.
And so they've done it with, like the Endrin Master and the one, Tzeentch Arcanite guy and all that stuff. And sometimes there's been like large gaps before those things showed up in like the actual battle tomes.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
And so what my premise is I think what we're going to see with this LRL release is that I think it's going to be tied to the new Broken Realms book.
Okay.
And I think it's a dual box.
Okay.
Where you're going to get a handful of units Now you may get the individual box units pretty quickly afterwards because the leak we had was of the individual box unit. So I don't want to dismiss that. Like that those are coming, but it would not surprise me if, for example, we got like an LRL versus Vampire in a dual box for the new Broken Realms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which I don't know the last time we ever had a quote unquote like new army dual, like two new armies or relatively new armies in a dual box, but we'll see.
Yeah. I want to address something here. So Red says, "Don't agree on the books thing. It binds their development. If you think hobbyists aren't going to spend that money on minis, I actually, for the first time, really disagree with Vince." I'm not sure exactly what you mean, Reds, but what my argument is that to just clarify my point is that I think they've realized that if they're one of the good ways to justify people getting a new book, because if you just release new battle tomes, here's the point I'm saying, they have to sell books. That's the reality, right?
Yep.
So they want to put out new versions of battle tomes and re-explore stuff, right? But if you just keep printing new books, and that's all you do, and you just release a book, ultimately you lose people. Like, yes, you will sell some of them. I'm not saying they sell zero, of course. That's not the world we live in, right? It's about controlling bleed. And they know that when they release new models, not only do they stop bleed, but they also bring people in. And so the way they figured out to do this is, if we tie these new books to an expansion of the army, then it justifies the book's existence, one, right? Because, look, there's a bunch of new kits. Of course you need a new book, right? Two, it excites people because we all get new models are an exciting thing, naturally, right? And if you're already invested in the army, you're highly likely to want to get the new kits.
And thus the new book.
Yes.
Right.
That's the argument I'm making, right? Will they do that every time? No. They'll release things in whatever way they deem appropriate, right? My argument is, when they see the chance to do this, they'll do it. Right?
Yep.
That's what I'm arguing, is that it solves the dilemma.
Well, and I think that we could even get new models potentially with new War Scrolls in dual boxes, because we've continued to see that without necessarily getting new books right away. I don't think we're getting a new LRL book.
Okay.
I don't.
Sure.
I don't. I think that what we're going to do is we're going to get they will be in Broken Realms, the new units will be.
Yep.
With probably an updated allegiance, right? So, like one of the nations will have the Air Elemental Temple associated with it.
Yep.
And I don't think we get a new book with this, honestly.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if they're in a dual box with like a staple bound thing. But I think that that's the other way that these expansions happen, is dual boxes or narrative campaigns. So, but I think I think on the next Temple release in a year or two, we will get a new LRL book.
Okay. Fair enough.
So that's what I would say.
All right. Let's get on to death, because we don't have much more time left. I got to get moving, or my wife will kill me. So let's talk about death. The dead. The dead, obviously, as we saw the new Vampire Lord, we know they're the Soulblight Grave Lords. Like I said, I think this release is going to be very big. My guess is no. Somebody asked if we're going to see a new Vampire Lord on Dragon. I think the answer to that's no. I think they'll keep the existing kit. It's a new kit. It's plastic. It's still in use because it's part of FEC, so there's be no reason they'd retire that kit or want to replace it.
There's one possibility, by the way.
Okay.
Like, I do see one world where we get a new Dragon kit.
Okay.
Is if the new Mortark is the Blood Dragon one.
Well, that's which is a different discussion, okay? Because where I was going to go was, will there be a new centerpiece to this release? Yes, 1,000%. There will be a new centerpiece, right? They're not making releases without a big, sexy centerpiece.
There could be a dragon riding vampire.
Sure.
But they're not gonna retire that other kit, is what
correct. It would end up being like a truly special character in some way, like a Mortar kit, right? Yep. Like the presence of, Manfred on his kitty cat dragon thing doesn't invalidate the Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon, right? That would be a good candidate for a new centerpiece model, right? Like a new Mortark on some new big special mount. In
Right.
the same, like
Right.
the Mortarks are how they've generally often opened up like their centerpiece models, not always, but often, right?
Yep. Yep.
So, could be like an Aberash type character. Could be a Mortark of the Abyss or something. Like, there's lots of options. Okay.
Yep.
But I am like my strong feeling is we're going to get a fair amount uh of both. The reason I think this is going to be so large is I think we're going to get a fair amount of rework of existing kits.
Okay.
And I think originally I said that this will end up feeling a little bit more like a Gits. I think way back when we first talked about this, I
Yeah.
said I think this will feel more like a Gits release where you get
Yeah.
reworks of some classics and quite a bit of new stuff building off of that, and I still stand behind that. Everything I've seen thus far tells me that's the case. Like we just saw the remade Vampire Lord.
Right. Right. Right.
Right. That's not going to be the only thing like that.
And we thought he would be like in a dual box originally.
Right.
He's definitely not, because that's a clam pack.
That is a clam pack kit. Stand-alone hero. By the way, excited to see that. Good. More of that, please. Thank you. Keep just like, I don't care if you put these things in a dual box. Again, just clam pack them a little faster. That'd be great. Thanks. Okay. And then, yes, you're going to see Neferata and Manfred still in here, right?
Yep.
But neither of them fits like that Blood Dragon aesthetic, really. So it makes sense that you could get an Aberash or somebody like that. Or
right.
a new heir to that throne.
And it would not surprise me if that's our new, like, so I talked about, like, you're going to get a bunch of updates of the generic stuff, and then you're going to get one new line. Yep. Right? Do you remember that? And
yep.
I posited the new line was going to be Wraithfleet Vampires.
I'm just going to bring her back up because it's fun to have her on screen.
No, I agree.
And she's beautiful.
I had posited it was Wraithfleet Vampirates. What we may be instead be getting is the Blood Dragons Aberash style. So instead of a Mortark of the Abyss, you're going to get Mortark of the Dragons or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
Mortark of the Night Terror or something. Sure. So yeah. I think that's the trajectory.
And it feels like with the things that are big candidates for getting remade. We've mentioned the Blood Knights 100 times. I still stand behind that. There will be an absolutely we will get new Blood Knights. I cannot believe seeing that new Blood Dragon Vamp Lord on foot. I was like, that cinched it for me right there. Right. I was like, Blood Knights are coming. Bottom line.
Yeah, and that's what. Yes, but that's what I'm saying. That is why I'm saying that what we may be seeing is something Blood Dragon focused for the new expansion of the line, rather than Vampire.
Yep. And so then I think we'll see. I like the other candidates to me are the sort of base creatures, wolves, bat type things, stuff like that.
Yep.
Zombies even maybe, right? It'd be neat to actually have them have some kind of life again and role in that army. They're a very classic concept. They're just basically languishing unused right now.
Yep.
And then then on top of that we'll get the cool new stuff. Right? That's where we'll lay in werewolves or golems or whatever, the new whatever this new stuff is we're going to get. There's just so many potentials out of the various rumor engines we've seen. They could show me anything out of, as you mentioned, out of a Halloween store and I'd be like, yep. Like, yep, I believe it.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else we want to say about the Dead and the Divine and our predictions? A lot of kits. I'm with you. Honestly, I'm gonna go a little higher than you, Tom. I'm saying 10 kits total.
Can I ask a question?
Go.
What's the Divine?
I think partially a 40K type thing, probably a Sisters of Battle codex. Like they're hinting at that, but then it'll also be they'll also tie the LRL new stuff into it as well, because the elementary spirits and air or whatever is like a divine thing to the LRL. And also, if you're right and it's a quest thing, right? Like, let's say you're right and it's a Warhammer quest thing, then all the witch hunters and whatever that kind of thing is, if this story you've trotted out of the witch hunter urban thing, those are divine hunters. Like, it'll just tie in perfectly to all of that.
Yeah, and that's actually where I was going to go with this. Is that I think the divine element is in this Ulf of whatever, where the Sigmar's Order of Azir come to town.
Yeah. Yep.
And so I think that we get a Night Quester, another Night Quester model, another Stormcast warrior type. We see a warrior priest, we see a witch hunter, and we see a celestial battle mage.
Nice. Oh, that'd be great. I'd love to see it. Yeah, that sounds awesome. We'll see. Tune in Saturday to the actual reveal and find out. We'll probably, I'm sure, be here Saturday afternoon whenever I get back talking about it. But there you go. It is going to be. I'm pretty stoked for this reveal. This is one of the most, this is the reveal I think we didn't get last time. We got lots of teases of it last time. Now
Yep.
this time, let's see what we get. So, with that, this is, like I said, short show today. We'll be back as normal next week. It'll be a slightly early show next week, but that's okay. We will be back, not this early. If you haven't hit like already, hey, hit like. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this was fun. If you have things that you think they're going to get revealed and we haven't mentioned them, if you think we're totally wrong, drop it down in the comments. Always appreciated. If you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and do so. But as always, thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next Wednesday.